Hey, it's Michael J, and today we're going to talk about stage-to-screen adaptations of Broadway musicals. Now, a lot of people think that when they make a movie version of a Broadway musical that they usually ruin the musical in some way, that the stage version was better, and this is oftentimes the case. In fact, it's mostly the case. We can point to all kinds of examples where we feel that they ruined the show when they made the movie. However, there are a handful of cases, better than a handful, where the movie is as good as the Broadway show in its own way, and sometimes even an improvement on the Broadway show. So this is my top 10 list of great adaptations of musicals that originally came from Broadway shows. So, number 10, Kiss Me Kate from 1953.
I hate men. I can't abide them even now and then. Too darn hot. It's too darn hot. I'd like to sup with my baby tonight.
From this moment on, you and I, babe, will be riding high, babe. Every care is gone from this moment on.
And by the way, Hermes Pan did the choreography, but uncredited is Bob Fosse's choreography. It's obvious when his choreography comes into place, and he's also a minor character in the film, so it's one of the rare occasions where you get to see Bob Fosse himself dancing on film. Brigadoon is number 9, and it's directed by Vincent Minnelli. The choreography is by Gene Kelly.
Brigadoon, as a motion picture, has been hailed as the brightest singing and dancing spectacle since An American in Paris. A whopping new screen triumph by the same star, the same director, and the same producer who gave you that Academy Award-winning music.
And Gene Kelly plays the lead character, which was not a dancing character in the stage version, even though the stage version of Brigadoon, choreographed by Agnes DeMille, was very dance-heavy. Because Gene Kelly was playing the lead character, that character became a dancing character, and so there is a shift in what happens with that character and Fiona, who he falls in love with, played by Sid Charisse. Sid Charisse, get that right. She's beautiful in it. Her singing is dubbed, but then Sid Charisse's singing was always dubbed. And in fact, we're going to talk about a lot of films in which the lead person in the film has a dubbed singing voice. This is Hollywood. This is the magic of the movies. So it's okay. As far as MGM musicals go, this is one of the better adaptations. A lot of times when MGM bought a property from Broadway, they changed everything. In fact, sometimes they keep the story of a stupid 30s musical and throw out the score. They'd keep 1 or 2 songs and throw in the rest of brand new songs. It's kind of criminal, but Brigadoon has the Brigadoon score. Number 8 is Hairspray.
Oh, you can't stop today as it comes speeding down the track. Child, yesterday is history, and it's never coming back. 'Cause tomorrow is a brand new day, and you don't know white from black.
Now, Hairspray made some changes, but it's a really good version of the Broadway show. It's the Broadway show. It's kind of dirtier, kind of more John Waters as those things go, and the musical film seems cleaned up a little bit, but overall, it's really a successful version. The musical numbers are wonderfully staged and beautifully filmed, and they aren't shying away from the fact that it's a musical. They aren't demusicalizing it in any way. Number 7, Chicago.
Slick your hair and wear your buckle shoes. And all that jazz, I hear that Father Dipper is gonna blow the blues. And all that jazz, hold on, hun, we're gonna bunny hug. I bought some aspirin down at United Drug in case you shake a heart and want a brand new start to do that.
Let's go, babe.
But I didn't even meet your friend.
Chicago is a phenomenal success. We could credit it with bringing back musicals. In fact, probably the reason why Hairspray got made is probably because Chicago is such a big success, and it won 6 Oscars, including Best Picture. Rob Marshall, the director, didn't get the Best Directing Award. Why, when it won so many other Oscars, I don't know. One thing I'll say about it is that he does borrow an awful lot from the movie Cabaret. It has the stamp of Cabaret and what Bob Fosse did with that all over it. And I'm going to point out right now that I didn't include Cabaret in this list because even though it is one of my favorite movie musicals, it's so changed from the Broadway show that it kind of gets left out of this category. Number 6 is The Music Man from 1962.
I can handle your trouble, friend. Now you know I can. Oh, yes, I can. Please observe me if you will. I'm Professor Harold Hill, and I'm speaking of a big fat picture, The Music Man.
And it's got wonderful character people in it. And it has the amazing experience of the original Broadway star Robert Preston getting to do the role that he made famous on the stage. This doesn't happen too often. You don't often get the Broadway people in the movie. Well, you get Robert Preston and Shirley Jones, who was the reigning soprano of musical films because of Oklahoma, because of Carousel. It was an obvious choice for her to do Mary the Librarian. She would have been beautiful on stage. Barbara Cook, who did it on stage, was not a movie star, and so it made all the sense in the world to have Shirley Jones do it, and she's beautiful in it.
No, I never heard it at all till there was
And we have to talk about the choreography of Ona White, who did the stage show, and she did the choreography in the film, and she became brilliant in the 60s at opening up the choreography for the big screen. She does this in several big budget, big screen movies of the 60s, and we'll talk about her a little more later because she pops up again. Number 5 is Fiddler on the Roof.
If I were a rich man, yabba dibby 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 dum. All day long I biddy biddy bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Yabba dibby 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 dum.
Starring Topol. Now, Fiddler on the Roof has the choreography from the stage show by Jerome Robbins, and what I think he does so well here is find ways of filming that choreography that really make it film-centric. The cinematography is beautiful. He captures the choreography in really, really interesting ways. The casting is wonderful and has a really authentic quality to it. It doesn't seem like it came out of a Hollywood studio at all. It's on location, it's gritty, you can feel the earth in this movie. I think it's gorgeous. Okay, so number 4, another Jerome Robbins, West Side Story, directed by Robert Wise, and you can give half the directing credit to Jerome Robbins. He directed and staged the whole Broadway show. Robert Wise is doing the film, and it was wise to have a film director there, but Jerome Robbins' work in the film is wonderful. He took his stage choreography and twisted it, turned it, found how to do it with the camera, so it really was interesting. One of the great things about this movie is how the choreography is captured, especially in the number Cool. I particularly like that. I was in the room 2 times with Arthur Lawrence, who wrote the book and to West Side Story, and he did not like the movie at all, and he criticizes it for not knowing what style it's in, and you can see that because sometimes it's on a Hollywood soundstage, especially those rooftop scenes. They're very fake. They're like the Kiss Me Kate movie, and then they're in the real New York streets all of a sudden, and the two things aren't blending very well. Okay, so it has that flaw. Put that aside. For such a horrible film, Arthur Lawrence, it won 10 Oscars, and everybody loves it. So what do you know? You only wrote the thing. Number 3, 1968, Oliver.
Please, sir, I want some more.
And speaking of Academy Awards, Best Picture again, 5 Academy Awards including Best Picture. And we've got Ona White back doing the choreography, and she really goes to town.
Here is the sound, the spectacle, the style, the exuberant life, the lusty excitement of the one and only Oliver.
It's a big, big production. And what I love about the bigness is that there's plenty of times to counter all the bigness and the spectacle of it where it gets really small and really intimate. And one of the things is Shawnee Wallace. Shawnee Wallace plays Nancy. Nobody knew about her before. She had done some Broadway, and she got this part. But this is Nancy, this person. And she is sweet, and she is humble, and she is feisty, and she's got a killer voice.
People say I must.
I love it as much for her as anything else that happens in it. Okay, number 2, My Fair Lady.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
By George, he's got it.
8 Oscars, including Best Picture. And let's talk about Audrey Hepburn in this role. Julie Andrews is lucky that she didn't get it. Julie Andrews was a nobody, but at the same time, they were making this. Walt Disney was making Mary Poppins and took a chance on the nobody, Julie Andrews, and she, not Audrey Hepburn, walked away with the Oscar for Best Actress. And she, not Audrey Hepburn, sang for herself. Marni Nixon is the singing voice on all the pretty stuff. The talky stuff is actually handled by Audrey Hepburn. Marni Nixon, she has already been doing people's voices. She sang for Natalie Wood in West Side Story, and she sang for the character, for Deborah Kerr's character in The King and I. So she's an old hand at doing accents and matching voices, and it sounds beautiful thanks to Marni Nixon. Let's give her the credit. Extremely true to the show. I mean, basically it is the show on the film. They didn't fool with it. They just let it be what it is. Cecil Beaton did the costumes. They're gorgeous. It's just a gorgeous, beautiful film, and it's as perfect and lovely as everybody said the original show was when it came along. I mean, Broadway is known as the time before and after My Fair Lady in all the history books, and there's good reason for that, because it sort of set a bar that was hard to pass. Number 1 is The Sound of Music, 1965.
A note to follow, so a drink with jam and bread that will bring us back to dough.
It's 5 Oscars, including Best Picture, The Sound of Music. You can't beat it. They show it every year on television. It's beloved. I'm going to tell you this. Oliver and The Sound of Music, to me, and I think to many others, I'm not the only one who thinks this, are vast improvements on the stage show. The stage shows are enjoyed still, but you always walk away going, gosh, I think the movie's better, always. Some of my favorite things is Baroness Schrader's line readings, and she, by the way, is an improved character over the stage version. She has so many more little scenes and moments and lines that I just love. Why didn't you tell me to bring my harmonica? Love it. It's hard. I don't need to tell you that it's a good movie. You know this already. But it's number 1, and you all know why. So that's my list. So tell me in the comments below if you have something else, if you disagree, if there's something I forgot. I'm sure that there is. I don't know. Go online, go to Netflix, go to a showing at the Film Forum, and see these movies. They're wonderful.